Okay, Wildcats. Today we're looking at journal page 5, families of functions. Okay, now there are 9 parent functions in the family. Okay, so the first one is linear, and the domain and ranges from negative infinity to positive infinity, and the range is negative infinity to positive infinity. And the reason is from domain, it's left to right. There are no start and stopping points, so it's infinite in both directions. And the same can be said about from bottom to top for the range. Okay, now the next parent function is quadratic. Okay, the domain from left to right, there's no start and stopping point. So again, it's negative infinity to positive infinity. The range has a starting point of 0, so that's bracket 0 because it includes 0 to infinity. All right. Now, the next parent function is cubic, and there's no start and stopping point from left to right or bottom to top, so domain and range are both negative infinity to positive infinity. Okay, so finish up those parent functions. All right, now let's look at the next parent functions. All right, the next parent function is exponential. Now, the domain, there's no start and stopping point from left to right, so domain is negative infinity to positive infinity. And the range, it gets very, very close to 0, but it doesn't touch. So it's from 0 to infinity, not including 0. Okay, the next parent function is logarithmic. The domain is getting very close to 0, but it never touches. So it's from 0, not including 0, to infinity. And then the range has no start and stopping point, so it's from negative infinity to positive infinity. All right, the next parent function is cube root. And the domain and range neither have a start and stop point, so they're both negative infinity to positive infinity. All right, so go ahead and finish up those parent functions. All right, let's take a look at the next parent function, which is square root. Okay, domain, it has a starting point of 0 and includes 0, so that's bracket 0 to infinity. And then the range, same thing, it starts at the bottom is 0 and it goes to infinity, so bracket 0 to infinity. Okay, the next parent function is absolute value. Okay, domain has no starting and stopping point, so it's from negative infinity to positive infinity. And the range has a starting point at the bottom from 0 to infinity, so and it includes 0, so bracket 0 to infinity. Okay, and then the last parent function is a rational. Now, the domain has no starting point and stopping point, but it has a gap. So it's going from negative infinity to it doesn't include 0. So it has this section, or it's going from 0 to infinity, not including 0. Terribly unstraight line. Let's fix that. All right. Now, the range is going from negative infinity, but it again has a gap at 0, and then so it goes from negative infinity to 0, and then 0 to infinity. All right, so go ahead and finish up those parent functions. All right, so now let's take a look at the examples. All right, so example 1. The parent function of this function is linear. Now, even though it had a transformation of up 1 units, domain and range for linear are always negative infinity to positive infinity. Okay, let's look at example 2. Now, this looks like it had a vertical transformation of up 1, 2, 3 units. And before we go, let's take a step back. We know that's quadratic. Okay, and naming functions is understanding the shape. A quadratic is always going to be u. Linear is always going to be this line. Okay, now the shift didn't affect the domain because the domain of quadratic is always negative infinity to positive infinity. But it did affect the range because the parent starts at 0, but this function starts at 3. So it's bracket 3 to infinity. Example 3. Now, this one is cubic. And again, you identify the name of the function by its shape. And cubic's domain and range, no matter it's shifted, looks like to the right, 1, 2, 3, 4, looks like 4 units. But domain and range for cubic, no matter the transformation, the domain and range are always negative infinity to positive infinity. Now let's take a look at example 4. Okay, the name of this function is exponential. Now, domain here is it looks like it went down negative 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the starting point for, and I'm sorry, the domain is negative infinity to positive infinity because from left to right, it doesn't have a start and stop point. But the range, it started in parent function 0, but it went down, so it's bracket negative 5 to infinity. All right, now the next one is square root. Now, it looks like for the domain, it went to the left 1, 2, 3. So the domain starting point is bracket 3 to infinity. And then for the range, it reflected, but also went up 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's actually coming from negative infinity to positive 4 bracket because it includes the 4. All right, and then cube root. Cube roots, domain and range are always negative infinity to positive infinity. Even though it looks like the transformation went left and down. All right, example 7. Name is absolute value. Now, the absolute values domain is always negative infinity to positive infinity. But the range, it looks like it went down 1, so it's bracket negative 1 to infinity. All right, and the next one is logarithmic. Okay, and the domain for logarithmic here, it looks like it went to the right 1, 2, 3, but it doesn't include 3, so that's 3 to infinity. And then the range we know is always negative infinity to positive infinity. And the last one is rational. Now, domain And let me, you know what, I'm going to write range here. I'm going to make a minor adjustment here. Because the domain and range are long for rational, so this gives us space to write it. Okay, domain, we're going from negative infinity to, it looks like our hole is at -1, -2. So it's going from negative infinity to -2, or from -2 to infinity. And basically that's saying there's this hole at -2, okay? Now range, it looks like we're going from negative infinity to 1, 2, 3, 4. So negative infinity to 4, or 4 to infinity. All right, if you would, go ahead and start your assignment. Or I should say, finish up your examples and notes and start your assignment. And have a wonderful Wildcat day.